Well, good morning, everyone. I'm hoping I have my audio problems solved. Boy, I tell you, I'm sitting here reading some letters. One is from Ethiopia. Another one is from Pakistan. No, India. Where'd the one from Pakistan go? Anyway, I had a couple from Pakistan. Just wonderful, wonderful things going on around the world as people come to an understanding of covenant eschatology and they want to know more. And boy, it's so exciting. Anyway, welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. And, pardon me, I apologize for the delay in being back on air, but I had some audio problems. They had to reset some of my settings, I guess, on the camera to film the Preterist Pilgrim Weekend from July the 18th to the 20th. And being the techno dummy that I am, I had some had some trouble getting everything all set up. But I'm hoping everything is okay. And I've already had a bunch of people asking me for a little bit of a report. There's some reports on Facebook already, and we're pleased with some of those reports. I tell you, it was a really, really good seminar, as we expected it to be. We had some excellent speakers, as we always do. And, it's troublesome that our government keeps telling us the economy is improving, when this year I probably had more people contact me and say, I love the theme of your seminar. I would love to be there, but the economy just won't let me. I'm having job difficulties. I'm having financial difficulties. I probably had more of that this year than I have in the past, and yet we're told things are absolutely improving. The economy's growth rate is 1.8%. Detroit just went belly up. Things are really improving. Well, don't get me on that soapbox, I guess. But the point of fact is, we still had a good seminar. We still had good attendance, and we're just hoping for even better things in the future. As I mentioned, we had some great speakers. To me, I just thought David Curtis's lessons. David spoke to us on Romans chapter 8 and the redemption of creation, and pointed out and demonstrated in just a super careful, almost word by word, term by term, phrase by phrase analysis of Romans chapter 8, that it's not talking about a yet future restoration or improvement of bugs, slugs, and mosquitoes. It was one of the finest analyses of Romans chapter 8 that you will hear anywhere. William Bell just did a wonderful job on talking about the garden as temple and the Messianic temple. One of the most stunning things that William said, and look, William Bell always will challenge your thinking. I've known William since the 80s. There has never been a time in which I have not been impressed by William's thought processes and challenged and blessed by his thought processes. And he made a point that the garden, while it is certainly a temple, and I shouldn't digress, I guess, but some have tried to deny that the garden was a temple based upon the extremely faulty hermeneutic of saying, well, the garden could not be considered a temple because the word temple in all other places refers to a physical building. Well, I'm astounded at the illogic of some people, and I'm not trying to be unkind, but Paul, writing to the church of the living God, said, you are the temple of the living God. So based upon the hermeneutic that says, well, the garden couldn't be a temple because the word temple always means a physical temple, then Paul was obviously wrong. No, the person who made the objection is wrong. Again, I'm sometimes staggered at the illogic of some people. But the point that William made was absolutely incredible. The point that he made was, in the garden, before sin, man was subject to the law of sin and death. If therefore we're waiting for the restoration to a physical garden, that must mean that we will be restored. You know, all this physical restoration will be restored to a garden in which we're still subject to the law of sin and death. Wow. That's not all that appealing, is it? Now, in the Q&A session, I pointed out that there's a corollary argument here. And I made the argument in 2012 in my debate with Joel McDermott. Joel McDermott claims that we must be restored to the garden. Well, then he appeals to Luke chapter 20, Matthew chapter 22, where Jesus said, in the age to come, they neither marry nor are giving in marriage. Okay? Well, there's a problem, Houston, as I pointed out in the debate. In the garden, where we're supposed to be restored at the so-called end of time, so-called end of the Christian age, in the garden there was marrying and giving in marriage. Genesis 1:28, be fruitful and multiply. That's the natural conjugal relationships. That was before sin. That's where we're supposed to be restored to. And yet, Joel says, no. Well, yes, we're supposed to be restored to that, but there's no marrying and giving in marriage. Therefore, there'll be children produced in the new heaven, new earth, and the new creation. There'll be children produced, but there won't be any marrying and giving in marriage. Whoops. Joel never responded to that in the debate, by the way. And, oh, by the way, that debate is available in book form, DVDs, MP3s, and what have you. Go to my websites and order that debate. I had 3 lessons. One of the lessons that I presented was on Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined for to anoint the most holy. That's the most holy place. That's 70 weeks are determined for the Messianic temple. One of the things that I developed extensively, and it's so extremely exciting to me, is the perplexing issue of a gap in Daniel 9. I demonstrated that there cannot be a dispensational gap of 2,000 years between the 69th and the 70th week, but there is, in the text of Daniel 9, a gap between the first half of the 70th week and the second half, and it's all related to Israel's festal calendar. Israel's festal calendar, from its inception to its consummation, is right there in Daniel 9. I'll just tease you with that. You'll have to listen to the MP3s or watch the DVDs in order to catch the full power of it. I'm telling you, folks, it's powerful, powerful stuff. I had any number of people who have studied Daniel 9 extensively come up to me and say, well, there it is. We've never seen that before. That's the obvious answer to the gap issue. My third lesson dealt with the Ethiopian eunuch. The Ethiopian eunuch is one of the most marvelous stories. It demonstrates that anyone and everyone, doesn't matter what their nationality is, it demonstrates that they are welcome within the walls of God's Messianic temple. This absolutely, totally, 100% refutes the idea that the temple belongs exclusively to Israel, no one else is invited in, that only Israel would be saved, and that no Gentile, in other words, you and I, have no salvation. The Ethiopian was, well, he was an Ethiopian. He was a proselyte of the gate, but guess what? He was not a native-born Israelite. He was a proselyte. Being from Ethiopia, he would have been of the Negroid race, but he is accepted. And you see, the Old Testament taught that proselytes, after the third generation, could enter into the temple. But here's the real point. He was a dry tree. He couldn't produce sons of God through marrying and giving in marriage under the old law. Therefore, he was to be always excluded from the temple. But God said in the Messianic temple, eunuchs, and remember, he's an Ethiopian. He's not an Israelite. In the Messianic temple, Ethiopians, but more importantly, eunuchs, could become dry trees. Now, this is a direct commentary on Jesus' statement in the age to come, in the resurrection, if you please. They neither marry nor are given in marriage. You know, the mandate of the garden was, be fruitful and multiply, natural conjugal relations. Under Torah, be fruitful in marriage and multiply, natural conjugal relations. The eunuch couldn't do that. But under the new covenant, the age of Christ, in the Messianic temple, the eunuch could produce sons of God. How? By sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Paul said the gospel was being preached into all the world and was bringing forth fruit. Even the Ethiopian could bring forth that fruit. Powerful, powerful, wonderful stuff to show that anyone and everyone is now welcome to come into, yeah, it was Israel's temple, no question about it. But Israel's temple was completed, consummated, and now any race and anyone, no matter what their physical reality might be, is welcome within the walls of the temple of God. Well, this is just a thumbnail sketch. I've already had a lot of emails asking about DVDs and asking about MP3s. I'm already hectically working on that, trying to get them reproduced and trying to get them ready to be reproduced. Be patient with me. We'll have them available to you just as soon as possible. Hey, thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. We'll see you on the flip side.